Everyone. A very good evening to all of you. Welcome to the session. So I hope I am properly audible and visible. If yes, please go ahead and give me a confirmation here. Am I properly audible and visible? Okay. So those who are watching me for the first time, I am Niharika John Mehra, your Faculty of English on CGB Mentors. I have my classes under our courses that are on our website and on our app. I do have classes here as well. So these free classes, my timing is like so: 1:30 p.m. EPFO exam practice is going on, English subject, and that's on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Apart from this, 8 p.m. Monday to Saturday, we meet here and we do complete analysis of editorial. So we work on the comprehension part, vocabulary learning. We work on our grammar. We solve some questions. It's a whole package for all of you who maybe who want one session dedicated to all the things which are mandatory for you to learn and to be good at. Okay, so make sure you at least attend this session regularly. Okay. Good evening once again and welcome. Make sure to like and share the session, guys. We will begin in a minute or two. And yeah, if you are new, subscribe the channel. We will start with skimming. This is the first thing we do. Okay. Skimming is just taking a mental picture of the words and not going word to word and understanding something. So taking or let this like looking at the article, any article. This is from the Hindu editorial. So when you see something like this, you quickly need to grasp it. That's what is required for your exam. And we need more and more practice to train our brain to spot the right words. Of course, we are going to spot subjects and verbs mainly of every sentence. We have to skip and read. So we should know in our mind, in our heart, what are the words we can skip. For me, I'll just give you an example. When I look at the word Supreme Court of India, I don't need to read off India in my mind. सुप्रीम कोर्ट पढ़ के समझ में आ जाएगा. I'm talking about Supreme Court of India. So I don't have to read these two words. I'll simply jump to the next important information. I hope you're understanding. Again, यहाँ पे अगर आगे आप देखोगे March 2017. So I can only have a look at this number year and then I can move ahead. I don't need to read March essentially unless and until कोई question उस पर पूछा गया. So this is called skimming, very important and helpful for your exam. So you will now skim the given editorial in 2.5 minutes. Once you are done skimming, you need to write here in 2 lines what you have understood is the central idea or the main theme of the given passage, given article. Please start doing it now. Start reading. I'm going to scroll up, Siddharth. Don't worry. You won't have any text which is hidden. So I'll keep scrolling for you because, of course, this is a lengthy article. Even my video part might be hiding a little bit of portion of your text. If you are a fast reader, then you can just wait a little while, because I need to give an average time for every. This is how it ends. So now I hope everything is fine. Okay. Give me in 1 to 2 statements what have you understood. Stitch in time. Now, there is a whole idiom that goes like so: a stitch in time saves nine. You make some changes in the present, maybe a quick action which you can take, fix the problem at present so that you don't have to suffer the worst in the future. So, it is half part of the idiom telling that we need to do something right away to fix a problem. So, stitch in time on judiciary and environment ministry notifications. So, on the notifications, there are certain things we must fix. Making illegal units pay heavy fines, making these units pay fines might have limited deterrent effect. Okay, so we will definitely be seeing how these, what exactly are these fines and why we are talking about it and all. Okay, so yes, that's what we have. I hope इतना तो सभी को समझ में आ गया होगा. Now talking about that, the fines, illegal units, making them pay heavy fines might have limited the effect, and deterrent effect is any type of effect that is restraining someone. So last week, the Supreme Court of India finally struck down as illegal two notifications. Illegal is written in quotation marks, okay? Yeah, yes, Zeba, exactly. So illegal is written in quotation marks. That means two notifications को label करा गया था. They were labeled illegal by the Supreme Court, by the Union Environment Ministry, the ministry that allowed industrial units to set up. So now, see, in the title, only the word units wasn't making sense, but now we can understand better. Expand operations or change their manufacturing practices. So the two notifications allowed industries units to set up, to expand, to charge their manufacturing practices without following the due process of taking government permission beforehand. So पहले से बिना permission लिए they were able to do something because they won't require, they were doing it beforehand. That's the reason Supreme Court of India has struck down the notifications as illegal. Taking prior, again quotation, prior approval is a sacrosanct principle. Anything which is sacrosanct is very holy, but in this case it is something we cannot change. A value, a principle, a rule which is too important to follow, we don't want to change it at all. उस सेंस में यहाँ पे है कि taking a prior approval is that kind of a principle we would not want to change at all, at the heart of the notification of 2006. On the surface, it appeared that, okay, so ऊपर से superficially it appeared that the center or the ministry had instituted a system that made a mockery of this principle. ऊपर से बाहर से लग रहा था that they have instituted a system where they are doing this, which is actually mocking the principle, but there was a rationale, but there was a reason, even if it was flawed to some extent. So author is thoda sa justifying why the business units are doing so. There is flaw to some extent, not exactly the complete flaw, but yes, because of which the institutes, or not the institute but the units, did it. In March 17, the body issued a notification. So the notification providing one time 6-month window for industries. This was a notification that did not have the right environmental clearances to apply for one. So there was a flaw here. In 2021, it instituted a standard operating procedure. Now, there was a standard procedure that in effect allowed projects in violation of laws, that allowed such projects who were actually initially violating the laws but which could not avail of, they cannot use the 6-month window to apply, albeit at the cost of heavy fines. Okay, so albeit is although they were paying heavy fines for regularization, they weren't able to satisfy the main 6-month window part over here. Moreover, all these changes were being issued through executive orders rather than any attempt at amending the underlying act. So people kept on doing apna jo man mein hai and through executive orders where they should have asked for some kind of change in the main act that was asking for the 6-month window through parliament. Okay, so that was the mistake they did. The center's reasoning was threefold. That means 3 points were there. The reasoning of center. First, the process for regularizing projects had already been initiated by the alliance government. So first, that the process had already been initiated by the government in 2012 and 13. These were, however, struck down by Jharkhand High Court and the National Green Tribunal on the procedural grounds. So the ones that were initiated long back, they were struck down, and not that these projects were irredeemably violative. They were not in the position that we couldn't have saved them. We could have. Second, demolishing functioning plants that were contributing to the economy and employment could exacerbate pollution and be disruptive. So the second reason that the center gave that why it was allowed, the industries were allowed to bypass law, it was because that was if they would have waited, then it would have actually demolished functioning plants, such plants which are providing employment, such points which are contributing to the economy and helping in saving from, not saving exactly, but if we demolish those plants, it would create a lot of pollution. Also, it could be disruptive. Albeit is although I just mentioned, right? The center cited examples of various disputes involving copper mines to pharmaceutical companies. So they referred many examples where the courts had agreed a balanced approach was necessary in cases involving violations. So, अगर कोई चीज violate हो रही है, तो there is a balanced approach that is needed. Finally, it argued that it had put in place a system. Final argument, the third, threefold enough. So the third one is that they have put a system whereby industrial units seeking to be regularized would have to pay fines for the period they had functioned in violation. So teesra, they are in a way getting profit because the companies who are unable to fulfill the regulation, they are paying fines for the whole period they are unable to fulfill. The court in its final verdict has rightly, as previous courts have emphasized, so court was correct, the principle of prior clearance, though its action may be a little late, as it has clarified that companies had regularized themselves under these year's orders. Now this would be unaffected by the judgment. Okay, so the court's final verdict has maintained this, just like the other courts. It's emphasized that the principle of prior clearance, now that would be unaffected by the judgment. उसके ऊपर पे कोई असर नहीं पड़ेगा. That thriving industrial units in violation, they have violated industrial units, but they are thriving, they are growing, of the laws, mushroom is a testament to the collective failure of regional boards to enforce laws. Now, the units are doing well, but violation is also there of the laws. Such units have mushroomed, they have grown so much that we see this is a collective failure of the boards who were supposed to enforce the law. So उसमें companies की गलती से ज़्यादा enforce कराने वालों की गलती है. So it stands to reason, now the court stands to reason that making these legal units pay under the purported new procedure making them pay under the new or alleged procedure, not new, but alleged new procedure, would have been a fruitless exercise. The court is saying that making them pay heavy fines makes no sense. The judgment should ideally nip any crafty attempts, crafty matlab chalaki wale, and nipping means to cut off, to remove, by future governments to condone violations. Okay, condone is to overlook. So the judgment should cut off such attempts by future governments to overlook the violations in the name of economy. But I mean, standard rules are standard rules for everyone. Just because an economy is getting benefited, it should not be continued. Like the violation part should not be continued. Though it must also trigger on ground enforcement. So not just we want to discourage, the court is in the favor to discourage this. We must also work on those who are enforcing these regulations and make sure that the new units, the upcoming units follow the regulations. Interesting one, right? Shall. So we'll do some words and then we will do the exercise of grammar. Sacrosanct is something which is very holy, but in this context, in most of the context, it's more than that. It means something is too important to be interfered with. It is sacred. उसको बदलेंगे नहीं. We don't want to break it or change it. So inviolable. Mockery is imitation, or that is something that has to do with ridiculing someone. मजाक उड़ाना, parody. This is also called farce and travesty. Synonyms. Rational means reasoning behind or logic behind doing something. Tark, justification, why you did it. Just man kiya to kar diya, thodi na hoga. Albeit is a conjunction, just words like although, though, even if, it talks about something going in contrast. Regularization is making something officially valid. So whenever something is regularized with respect to policy, laws, etc., we are making it legal. That's the kind of validation is meant by the word regularization. Exacerbate is making things worse. Bad se badtar karna, aggravate, intensify in a negative manner. Irredeemably is beyond correction. If anything is done in redeemable manner, or if anything is done redeemably, means you can go back and correct your mistake. But if there is something that has been done irredeemably, that means now there is no scope of correction. Hopeless situation. So incurably, hopelessly, this particular word is adverb. Mushroom is growing rapidly. तेजी से फैलना, sprout, expand, increase. Purported is alleged or claimed, often falsely. So it's just claimed as of now. There is no evidence. Condone is to accept or allow something which is morally wrong, ethically wrong. So you just overlook or pardon something which you are not supposed to do. Pardoning is actually something good also. We can pardon those who have done something against us. It's in the form of forgiveness. But this pardon is mostly, when I use the word condone, it will mostly relate to overlooking something which you should have taken care of. Change is working in parallelism with which other word? Okay, so change is in parallelism with which other word in the given sentence? Ma'am, for RBI, should we read the Indian Express? I read Financial Express, Mint. Siddharth, those papers, those newspapers are enough. It's not just about the economy, because let's say you get descriptive paper, you get English section in phase one. So if you can read something more, or some on and off, if you can just open incognito, and incognito mein you can easily see editorials from the Hindu as well. So wo bhi kar loge once a while, so it's okay. You can do. Parallelism. Very good. Actually, three words are here. To set up. So for the first one, 2 plus V1. Next time onwards, I don't need to repeat 2. To set, to expand, to change. Okay, so these three words are in parallelism in the given statement. Okay, part of speech. It cannot be in parallelism with the word allowed because this is verb second form. Then why are these words in verb first form? That is violation of parallelism in fact. Set, expand, change. Not this. Right is, yeah, right is an adjective. This sentence is in which voice? Is this sentence in active voice or passive voice? Very good. It's in passive. It's to be precise. The tense here is past continuous, verb being issued. Okay. Uh, Subject and verb agreement of this sentence. Subject and verb of this sentence that I have marked. The court. So court is your first noun of the sentence. Of course, that is my main subject. Court in its verdict has emphasized. So emphasized main verb and has helping verb. Part of speech. This is a gerund. The process for what? For regularizing. Now, gerund is not technically part of speech. It is actually noun that is part of speech. But to be precise, this is of course not the noun because noun nahi hai. We are using present participle, and that's the use of present participle as noun. We call it gerund. It cannot be verb, no? Because see, the center's reasoning was threefold. The first one was the process for regularizing projects. Now the process had been initiated. So this had been initiated. This is your verb part. For के बाद में verb कैसे लगेगा यहाँ पे? Okay, I'll just teach you a rule here. Now, sometimes you can see this word. This is an ordinal number. And you can see, let's say this sentence was asked in sentence correction or error detection. First instinct is the first bolte hain. We use the before first when there is a noun after it. That means first ordinal number is used as an adjective. In this case, first this word is used as an adverb. For adverb, I am not supposed to use the. Okay, first ABCD happened. Okay, and then we move on to second something happened. So these are the words adverbs explaining the whole sentence. From the position of the word, we understand there is no requirement of the over here. So the tone, what we got was critical and cautionary, what we are supposed to do. Supreme Court has struck down 2 notifications that allowed industries to operate without prior environmental clearance. This was violating core principle of the EIA. Though center justified, center was not like not saying anything, it justified why they did so. The move, citing economic disruption and past precedents, the court emphasized that prior approval remains sacrosanct. It has to be done. While industries already regularized remain unaffected, so those which have already been regularized, they don't have to worry. This judgment sends a warning against future overreach. However, without strong enforcement, on ground enforcement, even heavy fines may not be effective deterrents. They cannot stop people from not following the rules, from violating. So we have to work, we have to make sure on ground enforcement is top notch. Let's do some questions. That's your first question. Also, in case you have joined late, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Answer here is C. Okay. Which of the following best describes the Supreme Court's primary reasoning? Okay, in doing what? In striking what? Down these 2 notifications. So they bypassed the legislative process, the regulation, and violated the principle of prior approval. Is your answer. Go to the next one. For the second one, answer is C. The phrase making a mockery of this principle implies disregarding. Making a mockery is not respecting, disregarding the foundational environmental regulation. Yeah. If others can also answer like how Siddharth has answered, that would be really helpful. Answer to this one is A. Why does the editorial consider fourth judgment to be a little late? Because it does not cancel the clearance of already regularized units. If पहले हो जाता तो even other units जो है वो भी इसके अंडर आ जाते. It was delayed due to legislative procedures? No. Because Supreme Court chose not to cancel the clearance. Unaffected वाला जो line था. A is the answer. Answer is C for the fourth one. Okay. They must be stopped through legal and on ground enforcement. So, this is what best reflects the editorial stance. What is editorial saying? Okay. What is editorial mentioning with respect to the future attempts to regularize the units? Easier. Next. Answer is C. What is implied by the phrase fruitless exercise regarding the collection of fines? Fruitless exercise because it encourages more violations. Because it is not stopping. No, people are okay to pay the fines. They have been doing it. So that's the reason why we get to see this. C is the answer for the fifth one. Compensation का लेना देना नहीं है ना? We don't even know if that is a valid point or not. Sixth question. Can you give me the correction? The environment minister's notifications were criticizing for bypassing. Now, this sentence cannot be in active voice, okay, because notifications cannot do the action here of criticizing. So, these notifications were criticized by someone, okay. So, criticized by someone, that's how we are going to say it, and afterward we need to use verb third form, not the ing form, for bypassing parliamentary procedures and permitting. For bypassing, for permitting, this is your parallelism, to operate without prior clearance. Okay. The court judgment, though delayed, judgment reaffirms, very easy, subject verb agreement rule, reaffirms the sacrosanct principle of what clearance before what initiating any other project. The easiest of all, yeah. 8th one. While the government had cited what? Economic disruptions as justification. So while का clause पूरा, it fails to substantiate what? Why due process could not have been followed. So could not is negation, have been verb third form. No error. This sentence is absolutely correct. E is your answer. No, it's the see, you have to make sure the tenses are same where you are using a conjunction which is correlative, like you have pairs to relate. Okay, now while is not bound to that. While the government had cited earlier, it fails. The failure part is of present. Okay, it is not about that had failed and now it's gone. So I don't have enough proof to change the tense of this sentence. It's totally okay to say. Okay, while last year I said no to starting my own business, this year I am all in. While I said no earlier, this year I'm totally in. I am totally in. I agree. So next part is related to present, hence it is in present tense. The first part that was with while was related to past. So it's not compulsory with these while, although, though, but, and all that it has to be, both the clauses have to be in the same tense. Many units mushroomed over the years, despite, this is correct, despite being non-compliant, after being, I want an adjective. So here, non-compliant should be the right word, the adjective form to be used, not compliance. Being non-compliant with laws, indicating what? Failure of what? Mechanisms of कौन से mechanisms है? Regional enforcement mechanisms. 10th one. Super easy again. So the answer to this one definitely is B. Cannot be used. Okay, we cannot use verb second or third form immediately after any modal verb. Simple. So cannot be used. Okay, that's it. Thank you so much, all of you, for attending the session. Just to give you a gentle reminder, we are practicing some topic-wise questions on our other channel on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. And on Tuesdays, we are covering RCs and parajumbles. On Thursdays, that's tomorrow, we are going to do error detection and sentence correction. And on Saturdays, we are doing everything that is related to vocab. So fillers, close tests, synonym maintenance, and much more. So we are doing top 100 questions of each of the topics. It would be great if you can join in these classes as well. Short classes ही होती है 45 minutes की 1:30 p.m. Okay, but these classes are on CGB IBPS Hub. Stay tuned. Join our Telegram for more updates and PDFs. So the link is in the description. Check that out. Okay. Take care. Got to go. Bye bye.